Additional downloadable content is an aspect of Monster Hunter games that exists for a very long time. The older generations were notorious for releasing ludicrous amounts of DLC, mostly under the form of collabs or other promotional material. From magazines, clothing brands, restaurants to anime, shows, games, and others. They had it all, and a lot of it. So much in fact that the amazing Flyan had to spend 50 whole minutes to showcase every single one of them. And trust me, there was a ridiculous amount of stuff to show. So check his video out, it is an impressive piece of work. Even with the revolution that was the 5th generation, this wholesome form of extra goodies would still be released in the newest entries, although in a relatively smaller scale. But with the arrival of World and eventually Rise as well, also came a brand new type of extra content. Microtransactions. And I'm not talking about pre-order bonuses, I'm talking about the literal hundreds of items available for purchase. If there is something that gamers don't like, is to pay for things in a game that they already had to pay for in the first place. A sentiment that has gotten stronger and stronger over the years with the continuous increase of transactions. Yeah, cause they are not really micro now, are they? Present in video games across the board, to the point that it's now observable in single player titles, with the most recent example of such being Dragon's Dogma 2. Yeah, that one hits close to home, am I right, Capcom fans? Now, before starting discussing that topic in detail, we need to first understand that there is a big distinction between both forms of DLC prevalent in the Monster Hunter franchise. The old gen titles for a very long while dealt with their downloadable content in a very unique manner. For starters, all of it, was completely free. Well, at least not directly. Some would require a code which was exclusive to specific items that you had to purchase locally, but not all of these functioned that way and you weren't necessarily buying the content itself, it was rather a byproduct of whatever you were purchasing in the first place. However, that is not even the most interesting part. While they were indeed free, they were not immediately accessible. On multiplayer hubs there was a specific category of quests named events. And these hunts were special. Their structure didn't deviate too much from what we are used to. Hunt a monster, collect X amount of resources, deliver eggs, and things like that. What made them unique though were the numerous kinds of modifiers that most of them would have. Mini monsters, supersized monsters, multiple monsters at the same time, among others. These modifications weren't necessarily to make the hunts more difficult, but instead to make it either fit the theme of the quest, or just to make things goofy, honestly. By successfully completing them, players would be allowed to craft the weapons or armor associated to that specific hunt. But even then, you would still need to farm unique materials to finally be capable of crafting what you wanted. These hunts were lighthearted on purpose. They were made not to take them seriously and to use those collabs as opportunities to take a more comedic approach to them. Here's an example. In Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, there is an event quest titled Mario Oh Brothers, which, to the surprise of basically no one, it's a collaboration with the Super Mario Bros. Series. The player's objective involved killing two downsized versions of both a normal and an emerald Congalala at the same time in 4 Ultimate's arena named... Arena. And as if this wasn't goofy enough, here's when things get even sillier. For the ones that never fought this particular monster before, Congalalas usually possess a consumable item that they hold with its tail, which at some point they will eat, providing them with specific properties depending on what the item is. In this specific quest, both Congas are holding a special mushroom. And if the hunters don't stop it in time...
Oh god. Oh god, he ate it!
Oh! Ooh! Hi! Hi, Luigi!
They will grow exponentially, becoming a lot more dangerous in battle. This effect only exists on this singular quest. You cannot experience this anywhere else, making this whole hunt silly, but also memorable to an extent. And of course, if you manage to finish them off, you will unlock both costumes and weapons for your felines themed after Mario and Luigi. That isn't to say that World or Rise didn't do this anymore. They did. But it is undeniable that event quests are not done in this manner at the same frequency as before. But here's the thing. This, on its own, wouldn't be that much of a problem. The collabs of previous titles were all pretty neat, they were funny, but the vast majority didn't fit the game at all. Most of them were heavily out of place, so having fewer of them sucks, but it's not that big of a deal. The real issue here is when this gets replaced for something worse. Focusing on Worldborn for the time being, throughout the years Capcom introduced many items to the shop. Emotes, poses, stickers, face paints, hairstyles, pendants, handler costumes, room figurines, room background music, room decorations. Over 200 of these things reached a total of 541 euros or $581. This is just unnecessary. Half of this stuff could easily be event quest rewards like it was in the past. And we know it because there are still hunts like those in 5th gen. It's not like they weren't able to do them due to some restriction. No, they absolutely could, and they did on a selection of quests. But the vast majority, they didn't. However, I know what you're thinking. This is all cosmetic stuff, doesn't affect gameplay at all, it's cheap, it doesn't hurt the game in any capacity. Well, technically it does. Cheap or not, these items could very well be quest rewards and it wouldn't affect the success of World financially speaking. That was a deliberate decision to squeeze a little bit of revenue from the community. But it has to be said. While it does affect the game even if it's just a little bit, its damage is so small and inconsequential that in reality, nobody really cares about it, let's be honest. However, let's not forget, this is only Worldborn we are talking. The second 5th gen title did something far worse. As expected, once Rise came along, these microtransactions were scattered everywhere. Hairstyles, face paints, stickers, music, pet skins, character edit vouchers, emotes, gestures. But amongst them, there was yet another DLC that shouldn't be there. Something that does in fact damage the game and does so in a much more direct and impactful way. Despite everything World has for sale, one thing that they never touched was skins, for neither our Pelicos or playable characters, excluding Deluxe Edition of course. But that forever changed with Rise and Sunbreak. There you can directly pay for layered armors for your feline and canine companions, a part of the game that is directly linked to its progression. And sadly, that didn't stop there. They would eventually do the same for our hunters. Dozens upon dozens of little pieces of clothing for just a few bucks. Hats, belts, dresses, accessories, masks, even cat ears. But the worst part was yet to come. On September 29th, 2022, alongside Sunbreak's free title update number 2, Capcom released its first ever paid weapon skins. And these is absolutely awful. This time, no matter how cheap they may be, even if they cost a single cent, their existence in this form alone damages the game in its entirety, and I'm going to explain you why. Many people may say that the Monster Hunter series is an action RPG, hunting simulator, or something along those lines. But in truth, Monster Hunter, at its very core, is a looter game. You hunt a monster, get resources from it, craft gear, kill stronger monster to craft stronger gear, and so on. This is what players do hundreds of times during their playthrough, and that gameplay is what the franchise is all about. Now, being a looter, one of its most important aspects is obviously the loot itself, both from a mechanical and aesthetical standpoint. The armor and weapons we craft are essentially our progression. They are the reason we hunt, they are the reason we progress through the game. We are always looking for cooler, more powerful stuff to wear and use. Their visual appeal and functionality are of the most importance due to the genre this series is in. The microtransactions in World were inconsequential because they didn't affect this core gameplay loop in the slightest. Everything was outside of the gear system. Even the closest thing to that, the pendants in this case, were a mere external decoration to the weapons. They weren't an inherent component of the weapons themselves. The moment Capcom put armor and weapons on the shop, they completely disregarded the fundamental essence of the franchise. They basically put additional progression players could have and placed a price tag on it. It takes no effort, no challenge, no interaction with the game even. Just pay $5 and bam, here's a new weapon skin. And wait, this goes even further. You see, since this layered weaponry has monetary value, they need to be worth the money in the first place. After all, why would people spend a couple of bucks on them if the free stuff that comes with the game is aesthetically better? So to compensate, they literally have to make these skins look better than most equipment players have available. Look at them. Look at their animations. There is nothing in Rise or Sunbreak or even World with this amount of detail in its animations or special effects. Not only they are taking part of the core gameplay loop and turning it into extra monetization, they are making that specific part that was taken deliberately more appealing to guarantee its financial success. And that deeply hurts the game as a whole. This is scary. There is no reason to do this outside of wanting higher revenue. They are willingly damaging the game to its roots solely for monetary gain, which they don't even need at all. Capcom is an $8 billion company with both World and Rise being their biggest products. Right now, this franchise is not an expense, it's their largest golden goose. There's simply no justification for these choices that benefits the community. On the contrary, it heavily and negatively affects the product we paid for. So, with that in mind, who is to say that they won't keep this trend in Wilds? If anything, who is to say that Capcom won't do even more egregious DLC in the 6th generation? Because, make no mistake, layered weapons sold and sold well. The community is willingly or unwillingly feeding and rewarding these damaging monetary decisions. So, if Capcom knows that they can get away with such core component of the entire game being affected for money, why wouldn't they try going even more extreme? Wanna hunt Chaotic Gore Magala and get access to their gear? $9.99 please? Are you lacking armor spheres? Here's a pack of 20 for only $3. Oh, or go full Nintendo style and make 2 separate versions of the same game. Monster Hunter Wilds, Sand, and Rock. Each one with 5 exclusive monsters. Oh, that would be great. Now, joking aside, there is a big chance that the 6th generation will at least keep the current state of microtransactions from the previous games, or maybe even go one step further. Because they have all the incentive to do it. Think about it. Capcom is being actively rewarded every single time they add new forms of DLC. So we, the community, need to act. We need to speak with our wallets. Because if we let them, more and more evasive monetization will appear. That has been happening for 6 years so far. They have absolutely no reason to stop doing it. And if we do nothing, this will for sure continue to a point of no return, which perhaps we already achieved. So once Wilds comes out, if you see any DLC for the benefit of the series, do not buy them. A huge thank you to my Patreon supporters for supporting the channel and the content I create. If you wanna join the ranks, you can do so for only $1 a month. The link will be in the description. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and opinions down below, join our Discord server, engage with the community, and I hope to see you all next time.